Some people might recall some momentary buzz caused in 2009 by a particularly odd Morrowind mod. The file name was JVK1166z.esp. It was never posted on any of the larger Elder Scrolls communities, only smaller boards and role-playing groups. I know in a few cases, rather than being posted, it was sent via PM or email to a chosen few. It was only up for a few days, to the best of my knowledge. It caused a buzz because it was a virus, or it seemed to be a virus. If you tried to load the game with the mod active, it would hang at the initial load screen for a full hour, and then crash to the desktop. If you let it get that far, your install of Morrowind, along with any save files you had, would become completely corrupted. Nobody could figure out what the mod was trying to do, since it couldn't be opened in the construction set. Eventually, warnings were distributed not to use it if you found it, and things died down from there. But a year later, in a mod board I used to frequent, someone popped up with the mod again. He said he was PM'd by a lurker who deleted his account immediately after sending. He also said that the person advised him to try playing the mod through DOSBox. For whatever reason, this worked. The game was a bit laggy, and you couldn't get into options, load game, the console, or really anything else other than the game itself. The quick save and quick load hot buttons worked, but that was it. And for whatever reason, the quick save file seemed to just be part of the game file, so there wasn't really a way to access it externally. Some speculated that the changed game used an older graphics renderer, making DOSBox necessary, but it didn't look any different. This part I can speak about from personal experience. When you start a new game in JVK, as the board came to call it, once you leave the starting bit in the census office and come into the game proper and say the name, the first thing you notice is that the prophecy has been severed box pops up. This is because every single NPC having to do with the main quest is dead, with the sole exception of Yagrum Bagorn, the last of the Dwemer. Their corpses never despawn, so you can go check on all of them. In effect, you begin in a world that is doomed to start with. The second thing that you notice is that you're losing health. It's only a bit, but it keeps happening, a little bit at a time. The longer you stay in one place, the quicker it seems to occur, and if you let this health loss kill you, you'll find the cause. His texture is all black, like as if he were a hole in space. You would usually only see him after death, crawling around all over your body just before the reload box popped up. We came to call him the Assassin because he seems to wear a retextured version of the Dark Brotherhood armor from Tribunal, even though the expansions don't work in JVK. The way he moved gave me quite a start the first time I spotted him, scuttling around my dead body. He crawls inhumanly on his hands and feet, his arms and legs splayed out like a spider. Occasionally, you could catch a glimpse of him darting around a corner or crawling on a wall or ceiling. Other than that, the only noticeable difference is that at night, at random intervals, every NPC in the game will go outside for a few minutes. During this time, the only thing that they will say when hailed is "watch the sky." Once they return to their normal behavior, they act regularly though. After a while, a player on the board discovered a new NPC named Tierras, a male Dunmer in the Temple of Ghostgate. There's two things that are notable about this NPC. The first is his robe, which is a unique article of clothing that was lovingly rendered with twinkling stars all across it, looking like a torn-off chunk of the night sky. The second is that all of his dialogue, in addition to showing up in the dialogue box, is voiced. You can skip it if you wish, but it all sounds like it's in the default male Dunmer voice. Some people said that they thought the voice was slightly different, but it was a very, very good imitation. I won't go much into detail, but the questline he sends you on has to do with the dungeon referred to simply as the Citadel. Up until this point, the quests were all of a fairly generic, discover the secret of the ancients type of flavor. The entrance to this dungeon is on a small island far to the west of Vardenfell proper. I eventually discovered that if you use a scroll of Icarian flight at the westmost point of the main landmass and jump directly west, you'll end up almost exactly on the island. Even though the dungeon is called the Citadel, it goes straight down. It dwarfs any other dungeon in Morrowind, both in size and difficulty, almost as if it were pulled straight from Daggerfall. From a natural cave area, you'll proceed down into an ancestral tomb-looking area, and then a Daedric ruin area, and then a Dwemer ruin area. I made it to the Dwemer ruins before I quit. The creatures here were so strong that a level 20 character would have to take care, and since you can't use the console in JVK, level 20 took a while to get to. Since quick save and quick load are your only options, it's all too easy to get yourself into an impossible situation. I did, and I just didn't have the energy to start over. So what I'm telling you now is based on the testimony of those who have went further. Past the Dwemer Ruins, you apparently find yourself in a level like the Dwemer Ruins, but darker. Rather than the usual bronze, all the surfaces, including those of the creatures, are black. The sounds of machinery are loud here and grow louder still. There's also steam or fog everywhere, which limits your vision to about 10 in-game feet or so. If you can make it through all this, you will reach a room at the end of the hall, which has been since dubbed the Portrait Room. Like the fire and torches or other effects from early 3D games, this room has picture frames that always face directly at you, no matter how you look at them. The images in the frames are always randomly chosen pictures from your My Pictures folder. On the board, the ones who got to this point had some fun posting screenshots of the portrait room with various pictures in the frames. At the end of the hall was another locked door. After admitting defeat and returning to Tierras, he could be found saying, "Watch the sky," in his gravelly voice. What's more, nobody else in the game would say anything. Talking to them would present a completely blank dialogue box with no options at all. They wouldn't even rattle off the usual canned audible greetings. The only exception was at night. Whenever they would go out for a few minutes, they would repeat it. "Watch the sky." At this point, one of the players, a friend of mine on the board, noticed that the night sky was no longer the usual night sky of Tamriel. It had changed to a depiction of the real night sky, and it moved. From this point on, everything is based on what this one person reported. Eventually, he got himself kicked from the board, but I kept in contact with him for as long as he responded. According to him, based on the constellations and planets, the sky started around February 2005. If you died, reloaded, or went back to the Citadel, it would start over. When the usual day graphics took over, the movement would be suspended until the stars appeared again. In the space of a single night, everything would move about 2 months worth. Since the time scale of JVK was more or less that of the standard game, that meant that a bit less than an hour was equal to a 24-hour period. He became convinced that the door would open based on some kind of celestial event. Of course, waiting for that meant leaving the game running, and of course, that meant that the game couldn't be left unattended, thanks to our old friend the assassin. My friend decided he would hang out for a whole day, just to see if anything happened. That would be about a year's worth of movement. Here's the post he made at the end of this experiment. "I loaded in Saint Denis where it all starts. It wasn't too bad, just had to check in now and then to move around and heal to make sure I wasn't dying. But check this out. 24 hours exactly in, and the assassin learns a new trick. He screams. I was reading, and then all of a sudden, this crazy loud shriek just about makes me crap myself. It was like something out of a horror movie. I looked up, and there he was, just crouched down right in front of me. Of course, the second I moved my character, he ran off. When I went back down to the portrait room, the door was still locked. Damn it, damn it, damn it." A bit later, he came to the decision that he needed to wait 3 days. 3 years. His reasoning was that the PM advising us to try DOSBox showed up in February of 2008, so he decided that that was the point he needed to reach. After the first shriek, the assassin stops hitting you out of nowhere. Now he'll shriek, and if you don't move for a few seconds after that, he hits you. I think whoever made the mod was trying to help. At night, I had my headphones on and I was just kind of dozing off before the assassin woke me up with a shriek. So I jiggled the mouse and I was good. That post was 2 days in from his laptop. Once it was over, fuck, so fucking done. So I wait the 3 days, right? And after that, the fucking assassin made me jiggle the mouse, and then he shrieked again. So I looked and everyone in the town is outside. They're all saying watch the sky, but I don't see anything. And then the game starts to get dark, like really dark. I turn the brightness all the way up on my monitor and I can still barely see anything. There's these other people in the game though, little figures running around in the distance, just going back and forth. But whenever I try to get close, they run off. Now when this all was going on, I was trying to get some sleep, so the lights were off. I didn't want to get up and turn on my light because I didn't want to miss anything, but nothing fucking happened. Eventually, I go to the Citadel, It's still dark and I had to swim, but the whole time I could see all these guys swimming around me, just barely there. I made it to the Citadel and it's normal light inside, so I get worried. Sure enough, the portrait door is still fucking closed. I go outside and it's all starting over again. So that's it. That's it. I'm fucking going to bed and I'm fucking done. The end. After that, two things happened. First, someone else who got to the portrait room claimed that the assassin was showing up in his regular Morrowind game. He himself chalked it up to an overactive imagination at first, but he reported a couple of really big scares with a black figure crawling right at him, or seeing it waiting just around a corner before scuttling off. Others who reached the portrait room started regular games of Morrowind as well, but none of them ever really saw him for sure. It was just a couple of maybes, late at night, and always at a distance. The second is that my friend started getting really abusive and short-tempered on the board, though he stopped talking about JVK entirely. It got so bad, though, that he was eventually kicked off the board. I didn't hear anything from him for a couple of weeks after that, so I sent him an email. And this was part of his reply. I know I shouldn't have, but with classes out, I had some free time, so I started JVK up again. It's almost 2011, and I think I had the sleep madness. But stuff is happening. It's still dark, and once it gets dark, it never gets any lighter. The people moved a few months ago. Everyone in Saint Denis just went to that little bandit cave and moved in. They killed the bandits inside, and now they're just all standing around in there. They don't even say anything anymore. They don't do anything when you click on them. I quick saved and killed one, and he just stood there until he died without fighting back. And it's like that everywhere. You have to walk since the quick travel people are all in caves now, but all the cities and towns are deserted. Their people are all in caves and tombs. Everyone in Vivek is down in the sewers. I'm going to Ghost Gate next. I want to see if Tierras is still there. I'll tell you what he says when I get there. I replied and said I wanted to see what he said too, and then I waited a day. When I didn't get a reply, I mailed him again, and a couple of hours later he sent this back. Sorry, I totally forgot. It's 2014 now. Since it's always night, the stars are always moving. The whole screen is dark, but you can still see the brightest stars moving around. But Tierras was gone. Everyone in Ghostgate was gone. I don't know where they went. They're not in any of the nearby caves. But there's new stuff. People still don't say anything, but their eyes are bleeding. It's so dark that even with a light spell, you have to get right up against them to see it. But there they are, little dark streaks coming down from their eyes. I think I gotta be getting close. I know this is stupid and there's no way the payoff is gonna be worth it, but I just want to be able to say that I stuck it out. I got that one during the day. Later at night, I received a follow-up email. Some of the planets aren't moving right. It's pissing me off. If this keeps up, I won't be able to keep track anymore. It's almost 2015 now, I think? Fuck. You know, I just now noticed that there aren't any monsters anymore. I'm completely alone outside now. The main quest people's bodies are still lying around, though. I don't need headphones anymore, so I just leave them off. When he shrieks, it's like he's screaming right into my ear. I think I even kind of anticipate it. He's around a lot more now, a lot closer. He's different from a lot of the other people who started showing up, remember? They keep running around where I can barely see them. I have to admit, it's kind of creepy at night. Sometimes when I go to the bathroom or whatever, I swear I can see something out of the corner of my eye. I'm keeping all the lights on now. It's too much. I sent him a letter jokingly telling him to get some real sleep, and then left it at that. But 2 mornings later, I found this in my email. It was the last thing I ever got from him, and it's only left me with more questions than answers. I just got it from a fucked up dream, I think. The assassin shrieked at me, and when I opened my eyes, he was right there, crouching over me. His arms and legs were longer. I tried to push him away, but when I touched him, my hands went inside, and I couldn't get them loose again. It was like he was made of tar or something. But then I woke up. I was in the Corpusarium with the Agrum. For once the light was okay, and I could see him all bloated on those mechanical spider legs. I sat down at the computer, and he started talking. Not in a box, but verbally talking to me. In Tierra's voice. He knew things about me. He told me things that I'd never told anyone. And some things I just totally forgot about. He told me that almost nobody had made it this far. That the door would open soon, and that I just had to hang on a little while longer. He said I would know when it was time, and that I might be the first one to see what was inside. And then I woke up for real. But I was at the computer. I still wasn't where I was. Right now, I'm swimming out of the Citadel Island. And as I'm doing that, I can hear this tapping. It's at my window. It's over on the left. And I'm sending this because I left my laptop by my bed to the right. Just this little tap, 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 tap. Like he's knocking his finger against the glass. I might still be dreaming now. So I guess that's the end of this story. I know there's a lot of other tales floating around about this mod, but this one just completely stuck out to me for obvious reasons. I deleted my JVK copy of the game pretty much right after I gave up, but I would like to get the mod again if anyone still has a copy of the file. It probably wouldn't be wise, but I need to see some of this for myself.